Good Wednesday evening, everyone, to all the wonderful tires that are joining us live. And if you are not joining us live, feel free to hop on every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time as Katie and I hop on and tie some flies and have some laughs. And yeah, Katie, are we on air right now?
We are. We're on.
Are we on?
Yep.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so I was like, there's a big pause there, and the on air button says off. So I was getting confused. So, anyway, we have a fun time planned tonight. We're going to tie up a couple March Browns for you guys. I want to show the book from Mike Valla that we kind of. I don't want to say that we've been following the recipe in that one, so we can somewhat do it officially correct. Um, I'm also going to open up a new book that I got from Ian and Charity Rudder. I ordered this 2 weeks ago or a couple weeks ago when I saw that it was going to be coming out around my birthday. So, and when is that, honey?
That would be today.
Oh my goodness gracious, that is today.
Mm.
So we so the book came a couple days ago. I'm really excited. Thanks, Bill. Thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes. It's awesome to. I've gotten text messages, messages on Instagram. First thing before some of my family said happy birthday, I got happy birthday from you guys. So it really
Excuse
meant a
me.
lot.
Maybe I was the very first person to
I
say.
said before some of my family.
Yes.
No, you and Misha were the first ones.
Mhm.
Misha, the dog, gave me my first birthday.
She decorated
present.
the kitchen for you.
Thank you, Dr. Jason and Ken from Australia. If I start saying keep on with the birthday wishes, but if I say thank you to everyone who says happy birthday, we'll be here all night. So,
would you like me to show the flies first, since there's only 4?
Sure. So last week we tied the Frenchie, which everyone should have in their box, and also the
Proppin.
proppin. So wear it out, Katie.
Okay. So let's see what we got. This one was from David Smith. And this one, of course, is a proppin, not a Frenchie.
Nope.
You can tell by everything. And then Ken Brooks did both the proppin and the Frenchies.
Nice.
Nice. And Dave Hall. Beautiful, beautiful Frenchies. Those look great. Those look like you can catch some fish right now.
Yep. Those look awesome.
Bull X72. This is a screenshot of the cool reel with the proppin. So, kind of an unusual combo last week that we came literally like tearing through the door and jumping into the tying room and somehow managed to be able to get those out. So, thanks guys for sharing those with us. And, yeah, thanks so much. Well done. And I guess that's it.
All right. So, so like I said, we're going to tie the March Brown. And Katie, if you want to switch it over while I'm grabbing this book to the Vice, here's the one we posted today on Instagram. This is a March Brown, kind of a classic Catskill style. And you know, I don't know if you are like me, but there's always something that you wish you could have done differently. So I retied this one right before we went live, and because believe it or not, I don't tie like 20 flies to try to get just the right one to post. I've only tied the one. Otherwise, I'd be getting my fly box, and I tied this one. The two main differences between the two flies, thank you, David, are the tail on this one is a little bit sparser, and this literally has half a wrap more hackle on it. It's the only difference. It's actually the same hackle feather. This one has, and I believe my wings are just a touch shorter on this one, but this one has half a wrap more hackle on it. So there's 3 in the front or 3 in the back. I believe I got two or three, and 1 or 2 in the front, depending on how you count them. And these are both um, grizzly and brown, so 2 separate hackle stems wrapped here.
Mm-hmm.
Buried under stuff for Easter. Oh, I'll dig out my stuff to fall tie fly this way. Great, Josh. Thank you, Chattooga River Fly Shop. Mine's buried under fly tying stuff, so that's why once a week I get to kind of take it. Let's switch over to me, please. I get to come in here and say, "Oh gosh, I've got to just take it and just shove it all off and start all over." So then the floor starts getting cluttered. But speaking of books, so Mike Valla, we saw him at the International Fly Tying Symposium, and I bought this book a while back, a few years ago. But this is just a really good book that that has a lot of good examples of just classic Catskill style flies, from Quill Gordon's to, I think, the Queen on the Water's in here. Obviously March Brown. But the cool thing is, I'll show you the March Brown. So the cool thing is you've got, your nice fancy picture of the March Brown here. Then you have some of the original patterns tied by the original people and how they look. And these are not exactly like your old school Instagram famous pictures. This is how they work. This is what we aspire to be. And it's really cool to see the different materials they used and how they tied them, and also to get some ideas of what to do. And then of course Mike does his step-by-step tutorial on how to tie the fly as well. So it's always good to have a reference to go back to if you're not exactly sure. And quick confession, I do not have red fox belly fur for dubbing. So I was tying up, I was kind of making up some patterns. Switch over to the vise, please. I was kind of messing around with this, doing a big March Brown soft hackle emerger type pad, just kind of playing around. Did that one. I think this is one that I kind of figured out that I like the most. Here are 3 kind of ones that I was playing, trying to come up with something good. And I remembered I hadn't done a March Brown dry fly, regular one. So I wanted to wait until I had the correct red fox for dubbing, but we switch back over to me.
Mm-hmm.
I always encourage you all to tie with what you got. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to tie with what I have. Good evening, Michael and Barry. Good evening. Yes, Ken. That's definitely Pat Dorsey's Fishing and Tying Tailwater Flies. Probably still my number 1 favorite, but this is a good one if you're at all interested in getting into tying Catskill style flies. This is just a good reference book for you to check out. So we're going to tie one real quick or real slow. Then I'm going to open up my birthday present to
Yourself.
me. And then we'll get going. Told you I've got stuff falling down everywhere, books and stuff. So the one I posted today had Dame Burner would approve of those more. Well, thank you very much, Steve. I was kind of nervous about posting that one because I'm buddies with a handful or quite a few like really good old school fly tires, and I'm always afraid they're going to say, "Dude, that's junk." But so this I did tie it on an old Mustad 94840. If you see that, size 12. So try to keep it, and you still find these around. And guys, the best place to find wood duck feathers, old school hooks, old feathers, all the stuff we're using is right here, because I made an announcement a while back that I needed wood duck feathers, and a couple of you guys that will go nameless hooked me up with some wood duck, and I even had one of y'all with the hooks. Let's go live on Instagram, or the hooks. So we'll get started. You'll notice I'm using a new bobbin I'm trying out today. This is the Loon, I don't know what it's called, the Ergo. It's a small one. I didn't realize they had a small one. Anyway, to be determined. First thing to do is put a hook in the vise because you don't want to do much without it. Good evening, Mike. And guys, feel free to ask any questions at all. I'm by no means the pro, but I'm the only one talking. So
they're talking. You just can't really like hear them.
I can pretend. Think that that is the only dry fly hook worthy. Well, that's what we're going to do the first time, and then we're going to go to a current hook just to make it more. Don't feel like you can't tie if you don't have this hook, you can't tie it. And I'm just going to go with the regular old switch over the hook. Make sure I've got it straight for the camera anyway. There we go. Maybe down a little bit more. So I'm going to go with the Silverfly Classic Wax Thread 12-aught and tan because good evening, Bull X. Thanks for your we did a video. Thank you for that, for your prop and fly. So we'll start it like so. All right, so you'll notice I've got, I probably want a little bit more actually. Leave a little bit more space than you think you'll need. Because on the Catskill style, you want to leave a little bit of bare hook shank behind the hook eye.
Christy said, "Happy birthday."
Oh,
from Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff's wife, Christy. Exactly, and that's the TMCO 100 is fine, no big deal. And it was Seth Cava, you know who I'm talking about, Seth. He was telling me why people back in the day put the left the part of this blank without anything, bare hook shank. That's what I'm looking for. And what makes the most sense is not the turtle knot, not so they can use a fancy knot to tie it on, but because having the hackle set back farther on the hook shank, if you have the hackle set back farther on the hook shank, it allows it to ride with the tail hitting the water and the hackle hitting the water. It allows it to ride up a little bit more versus having the hackle more forward facing. That's one thing he told me that I was like, that kind of makes sense. So you see, I've got my thread started. I just started, then put with the open spiral wraps, brought it right back up to the front. I'm going to switch over to the side view. How old are you? Don't use those old Mustang hooks. I forgot. I missed the snell turtles to snell the hook. Well, Seth knows more about it than I do, and I was kind of leaning on him. That is the common response, is to snell the hook. Correct. So
what size do you tie these in?
So for the March Brown, and let's check this. Let's go back to me. I'll show this. This is cool. So this is pretty much the biggest mayfly that we have in the Smokies, pretty much. And this is it right here. This is the March. See if we can get it to show. This is the March Brown. And you can see right here, this is kind of that little guy right there is the kind of the true size of it. So I'm going to tie this in size 12. And I'm going to fish it in size 12. I can see tying it in size 10 even. I don't know if I tie it in size 14. If I was going to tie a size 14, I'd go more towards the Quill Gordon. But I'm going to tie these in size 12 all day long. It is a big one. And one of the interesting things about this, and hopefully the glare is not going to do it, a lot of times when you look at March Brown dubbing, it's very brown. It's kind of dark.
Somebody asked how old you are and how do you feel?
Well, you can tell them, honey.
Okay. He feels...
I feel 16. That's what Katie will tell you. But anyway, as far as the color of it, the belly of it is a very light tan. So when we look at them, they look dark, but the belly's got a light tan. It is kind of light tan. And that's why when you look at the original, or look at how Mike's tied them, not Mike, but how the originators tied them. There it is. The dubbing is a lot lighter than you would think. So you can see here how the dubbing is very, very light. So it's because the underside of the March Brown is it's a light shade of tan. So yes, young 24. That's right. He feels young and he is, yes, I am 45. 5 Hazardworth. Yep. Okay. So I hope that answered that question. I'm not getting too off topic. So we've got our wood duck feather here, and I think saw Howie say he did one the other just recently or just now or the other day with EP fibers or something, and that's fine. You don't have to. If we're just trying to catch fish, use whatever wing material you want to. Not a problem whatsoever. It'll tie beautiful flies. So I've got my wood duck feather here. I've just stripped the sides of it, and I'm just going to take it, make sure you can see it, and just kind of pull it straight so the tips are lined up like that. Now, if you get some that are a little bit on one side that are a little shorter, you can pull those off. But it's not the end of the world if they're not absolutely perfect. All right, so we're going to do this, and you'll see here in just a second. Here we go. Let's switch back over to the vise. All right, so we've got a little bundle here. So I want the wings to be the length of the entire hook. So from the end of the eye to the end of the bend, I want to go there to there. And so sometimes, depending on my background, I'm going to put my finger up. So I kind of butt that up against there. And let's zoom in here for everyone on Instagram. If you're watching on Instagram, bless you, Katie. If you're watching on Instagram, come over on YouTube. You'll be able to see and hopefully hear a lot better. So what I do is when I'm looking down at this, I kind of pick a bar. Pull out my other pointer tool. I kind of pick a bar that I want to shoot for my thread that is the mark that I'm going for. And I just set that bar, check it again because I keep missing it, keep losing it. There to there. So that's where I want it. I can see it fine. Jeff said, bless you, honey.
I said, excuse me. Thank you, Jeff. I explained why I was sneezing. Every year, this time of year happens.
Yep, it does. All right, so now you can see I've got that tied on the top of the hook shank. It's got a slight cant to it, so let's straighten that up. But it's tied on the top of the hook shank like so. And I'm going to pull this up and I'll kind of cut it down at an angle a little bit. It's not like super duper critical because this is going to have a dubbed body. I like to go ahead and take my thread all the way back to bare shank and then separate my wings, because when I start putting a thread dam here, if I don't have it kind of locked off to here, I can start pushing that bundle back. So I'm going to, it doesn't have to be touching wraps, but now I've got my ramp there. Now with the open wraps coming back up, looking at any lumps I might have, take that, and now I'm going to do a little thread dam here, just like I've shown before. Bradford Bears, yeah.
They don't belong here. They're not supposed to be here.
She is allergic to me, Ken. Absolutely. Okay, so just like I've said before, and this is a great example, I don't want a big bump underneath here on the bottom of the hook shank. I'm trying to get it to stay. I don't want a big bump of thread right there. And if I just sit here and just put a whole bunch of thread like this, that's exactly what I'm going to get. I want strategically placed thread wraps. So I pull this back and I bring my thread up and bring it all the way back. So I'm just kind of jamming that bundle of wood duck just like that. Now see how it's going pretty much straight up and down, pretty much. I'm gonna push it forward Bring my thread back to this side. Good evening, Mark. Thank you very, very much. All right, so now we've got our wings in place. So now I'm going to cover up the camera so you can't see it with my hand. Hardy har. I'm gonna try to separate them into two little clumps here. I'm gonna try. From the thread behind the wing, I'm gonna put 2 wraps. 1, 2. I'll move my hand all the way so you can see. See what I did? So I just did it that way. And now I'm going to bring my thread to the front and grab the bundle on my side and do 2 wraps front to back, like this. And you can see how I've got it separated. The key thing is it's a little separation, and they're somewhat raised, because now I'm going to take them and you want to look at them and see, are they roughly equal? And these look, this side might have a little bit more, but they look roughly equal. Good enough for me. All right, so I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to go, look at this, yeah, you can see it. I'm going to go around just a couple, just 2 or 3. These are just collecting wraps, kind of like a parachute wrap. I do 2 up and then 1 down. And now you can see that's going straight up and down. That one is. But my thread's going the wrong way. So I go to the other side. Hold it together. 1, 2, and then 1 more back down. And now I've got it pretty well. If I want to give it just a little bit of a tug, I can pull that up. And I'll bring the thread back so I can throw that tail in. So see how I've got our wings set in? 6 more fibers on the, dang, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'll cut the 6 out of the backside and we'll call it good. Well, let's see. I totally lost my feather I was going to use when I was cleaning up.
Your tying station looks awfully neat tonight.
Well, thank you, honey. I'm trying my best.
Hmm.
So I've got 2 feathers here. One is a Whiting Farms Coq de Leon in brown. And one is a really cool spade hackle feather that one of you guys sent me a bag of. I don't know what it's from, but it's brown. And I tried it the other day, and I tried it on the other ones that worked fine. So I'm going to pull off. Let's switch over to the side here. So I'm going to take my feather here. See it? These, if you look, see how you can kind of see it's kind of webbed right here. Like there's a line of webbing that goes up at an angle like this. So the part that we use for tails are on this side of the feather. So this way doesn't have enough usable material. So I'm going to take that and just throw that away. Some people are that crazy they actually count fibers. Oh, trust me, I know. And sometimes, Steve, I'll count fibers too, but I guess we're all a little bit on the crazy side. So I don't know, and I probably should have read Mike's book so I could have told you speaking of counting fibers, so I could have told you exactly how many to use. But this is, I might be telling you wrong, 7. We're at 7. Let's switch back over to the hook. So I'm gonna pull it straight out from the stem. You can see how the tips are lined up nicely. You can see how lengthwise I'm good. Tips are lined up, so now I grab it and I just pull the feather away like that. You see my butts are straight up and down. So I just kind of pinch them together and came apart just a little bit, but there's our little bundle. I want the tail to be the same length as the wings, which is the entire length of the hook. So I take it, set it straight, just lay it right here, right in between the wings like this. And you need to, Tice BFF, I wish I could remember your name, your real name. I would see you too. But you ought to come over and watch on YouTube. Come flip it over on YouTube so you can see a bit better. Okay, so you can see how my tail is a little bit long now. I'm going to loosen up my thread, just shove it forward. That's fine. And now we're pretty good. See how it looks? Spread out a little bit. We'll fix all that. I'm going to just get that locked in. And I'm going to cut this off right about there. Coming. Well, Katie's going to be out of town this weekend. So
I am. I
you can
am
come
going.
on.
I have to go out of town this weekend. So,
Well, you might be coming on YouTube. I don't know. But if you're coming here, then that'd be fine too. All right, so we got our tail done, body done. All we need is a little bit of hackle and a little bit of dubing. I didn't see the comment below yours, Steve, but you're absolutely correct. If nothing else, I actually look at the comments a lot more on YouTube and Dr. Richardson. So that's why I never had luck with the whiting tailing packs. I didn't use enough fibers. Well, this only 7, or I think I counted. I think that was 7 fibers. Depending on the fly, sometimes I'll use more, sometimes I'll use less. The one that I posted today had too many, just as far as being like really technical, whatever, or not technical, just I thought it had too many. Okay, so let's switch over to the side here. Come on, Instagram, come over to YouTube. Okay, so I told you I did not have Red Fox dubbing. I had some that would probably be like look like Red Fox and might be okay. But as opposed to trying to fake it, I'm just going all out and I'm going to use K-pop dubbing because it floats great. And these are going to be, honestly, these are probably going to be given away. But these, if they're fish, this will work phenomenally well. But what I'm not doing is I'm not using March Brown color. I'm going to use a little bit of cream. So that's way too much. And it's not because it's just because I don't have the darn dubbing. Like that much cream. I'll set it here. I think this time mat is a little bit better because you can see the stuff on there. And a little bit of brown, a little bit of tan, excuse me. Might be a little too much tan. So see how you can see me mixing it with my hand and get out of the way. Get rid of a little bit of that tan. There's one little piece there. And now I'm going to just kind of card this together. I have, but I can't comment till I sign in. Oh, Greg.
hello, Wes.
Greg, Thursday's Hopper. Hey, everyone on YouTube, Thursday's Hopper's over here, but he can't comment on YouTube. So
Aw.
it's good to see Greg Lenny on here saying hello.
David Richardson is on YouTube.
Oh, good, David. I prefer Instagram for just general stuff, but to be able to see this, it's nice. Hello, John. The head shape between cream and tan would be perfect colors. So hopefully this will be it. So now I'm going to dub this just like I've done before. I take just a wisp, put the wisp in between my finger like that and the thread, then one twist, 2 twists, and that's on there. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to slowly build. I take my time on this because I want it. Let me undo some of these wraps here. Because I want it to be able to start off thin. I want to have a taper in it. I don't think I need to describe what a taper is. And I'd rather build the taper with multiple dubbing applications than put way too much on all at once and then have to redo it. Unfortunately, that might not be enough, but we'll see. Okay. In the essence of time, I'm going to call it good. So now I'm going to bring this back. You see where the thread is and the dubbing is. So I'm going to bring this back until it starts. The dubbing starts right at the tail. Sometimes I got to lift the tail up so I can see it. But I don't want that to push the dubbing down. So switch over to the side view. I'm going to show one more quick little trick. So one thing I do like about K-Pop is I can cord it up a little bit. I'll move my light out of the way. And I'm just going to twist this around. This is something with the other loon bobbin I couldn't do because it was too big. I didn't care for it. I mean, tying big stuff, it was great. I don't tie much big stuff, so I wanted to try this small one out to see how smooth it was and how it was more for delicate stuff. So I'm sitting here talking, this is twisting, and I'm making a nice little cord. Oh, Mr. Barnes is on. Making a nice little cord of K-pot dubbing. And this technique works with lots of different flies. So just make sure you don't pull on it super tight because that was a bunch. So let's switch back over to the hook. So here's my move my light back. My dubbing rope ready to go. And you just have to make sure when you do that, you start the dubbing. So the dubbing has actually already got a turn or two on the hook shank. It might be good. I think if I keep going, it'll be too much. I want to get this one piece. There we go. I'm really holding my breath right here because I want to make sure it's just right. And we all know holding your breath helps. That's too big. We're talking just a little bit. Okay, so there's our body that's done. Maybe not the absolute perfect-esque, but cut this a little bit out here. It's pretty good. All right, so now we're going to do our hackle. All this is brown and grizzly. This is a Cape feather. There's a brown one. I went ahead and measured this because sometimes it can take forever to find two that are the right size. These are a big size 12. So what I did is I did my best on two separate capes to measure them. Then I got them right. Then I pulled out my hackle gauge here, put them together like so. Let's see if I can do it for you guys. So I got it like this, hackle gauge, put them together, and make sure that they're pretty close. Try and close one eye. Yep, I do that. Like, unfortunately, I don't realize I'm doing it, but I do. All right, so now I'm gonna take my feather and I'm gonna look at it. I kind of like them when they're the same length, especially when they get really short, because I can get two flies out of these feathers. And I like them when they're kind of the same length, but just for the heck of it, unfortunately, I'm gonna leave these different. But what I want to look at is the stem itself. So you can see the stem. You see how thin it is, and it starts right where it starts getting a little bit thicker, right about there. Chop it because I want that thin stem. I don't want there to be any taper. I'm just talking about the rachis, the part that holds the feather together right here in the middle. That shouldn't taper, shouldn't get small to big. It should be nice and thin there, thin all the way down. But you see, like, this is a rachis. Well, I don't know if that's technically the rachis here, but the rachis is right there, and it's thicker at the bottom. But where, so I was flipping it over, you'll see it a little better. We'll see when it quits tapering, and just cut it off. And then all I'm going to do after I take these off, got named the West Coast Santa in Texas. Oh, Tyler. Yep, I can see that. So I just pluck this off, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm probably, since Steve's going to ask me, I'm pulling off 5 fibers, we'll say 6 on both sides. We'll see how it's going to look. I think that'll be fine. All right, so let's go back to the hook shank, por favor. So literally what I'm going to do is you can see where the thread is. That's where I'm going to put hackle. I'm going to put hackle here in this gap and here in this gap. And I'm going to tie off right here. That's my goal. Well, if I can hold my fingers, my bodkin straight, tie off right here. So this will be bare, be a little knot here, and I'll have a couple turns here, a couple turns here. So take your feather. I want the color or shiny side going forward. We'll capture this in one wrap. Take my other feather, butt it right. If you want to tie them in at the same time, you can. If I trim them close, that you can trim them close if you want to. That is apparently to give you more purchase as you are tying them in, so they don't slip out. I don't have a problem with them slipping out, but you absolutely can trim them if you like. So one of the key things to look for or make sure that you've done is look at the underside. Make sure that this right here doesn't have any lumps or bumps or anything here, because this is where you can see we've got a big step from here up and over. And that's just where we tied the stuff in. But the bottom should be flat, should be smooth. See how that's pretty darn smooth? That's what we want. Shiny side, I've got it facing forward, so you can say facing you. It's more facing me than anything, but it's facing forward. So when I wrap, the shiny side will be towards the hook eye and the dull side will be towards the hook bend. Yeah, trust me, Steve. I know. Well, I don't know when I started just pulling the barbs off, but I did. And then when people started saying that I need to start trimming them so they won't slip out. Now tying in soft tackle, that's why I folded over, because I'll pull a soft tackle out without any problem. But of course, this will probably be the first time I actually do pull a dry fly hackle out, just because I'm live. So I'm gonna hold them. We'll switch over to the side and show you one more quick thing. So I'm holding them, just trust me, because you can't see it. I'm holding them very close to the hook. If I hold like, okay, it's upside down now. If I were to try to wrap them, holding them like this, the two feathers are going to separate quite a bit. So I'm going to hold them about as long as the wings are away, and I'll have them slide through my fingers as I'm wrapping, because I want those two feathers to stay side by side. And if when I make that first wrap, if one of them bumps on the other side of where I tied in, then I've got to back it up. Sometimes I'll use a rotary function, back it up just a little bit, and make sure they're just going to go side by side. All right, ready? So we're going to take this, keep them close together, and just straight up and straight down. So now I've got it down. I'm going to take my finger and switch hands. And you see how the fibers started coming off pretty much right where I started wrapping? So that means now I've got one full wrap, as opposed to having it like before. You strip off a bunch of the fibers to make sure it lays down right, and you've got half a wrap on now. So now we're going to wrap, make sure I'm getting it right. So that's two wraps here. And I think it's not going. That's what I was thinking. So I'm going to grab them close. There we go. Not going to help if I didn't tighten my hook in the vise. So remember how I said you got to pay attention to that first wrap to make sure you don't go on the other side with your there we go. Okay, so now we've got, I don't know how many wraps that was. My hook's going the wrong way. So we got 2 or 3 behind the wings. Now we're going to do this one here. Okay. And this is on the one that I posted today. I tied it off right here. I think it will look good if I just go down to here and tie it off. I'm going to undo a thread wrap. 1, 2, 3. Pull it tight. I'm going to fix this. There we go. So there is our somewhat finished.
It's getting there.
It's getting there. It's correct. And we'll just trim out the fibers that might not want to cooperate here quite as well. I wish I could read the comments. Anything interesting, honey?
No.
Everyone's just like, oh my gosh, you messed that one up. Now I'm trying to wrap my thread back. I will make sure my thread is somewhat flat. Don't miss a beat, Steve. He does not. And now we're going to do a little whip finish. Pull that off. And there we go. So there's a, I would say quick, a little easy, but takes a little bit of practice. But there is our March Brown with the 2 hackles in there. Now, if you wanted to have the thinner hackle, you could. But like I said, the biggest difference between this and the one I posted was that half a turn, that last half a turn. And to finish it, I'm going to take a little bit of Sally Hansen's and just drop it right on the thread wrap there. Then take the little needle in the bottle and work it around. And then I'll just usually let it sit right there for a minute.
That looks pretty good.
You sound surprised, honey.
Well, I mean, you know, I am.
So I always want to add 2 or 3 more wraps in
You
front.
never know about those Catskill style.
Yeah,
flies.
you think tying short affects the high floating, tying short. Tyler, what do you mean by short? Do I think tying short affects the high floating ability? I don't know what you mean by short. Maybe back on the hook shank, and that's kind of what I showed a minute ago. Was having the hackle back towards the bend, just a pinch, just a little, like having that little bit of bare hook shank, does make the fly ride more like this, as opposed to, and I think we're talking millimeters here, like not like as opposed to like that. So is that going to make that much a difference? Probably not. But so what we're going to do now is I'm going to take this one out. I'm going to go ahead and load just a regular old, this is an Arex, but a freshwater 500, brand new dry fly hook. And we'll do another one, but just a little bit easier. But before I do that, let's switch over to the reason we're doing the March Browns, because that should be, and if anyone's been in the park recently, should be coming off right now. So it's a good one to have in your box right now. And if you don't know what is coming off in East Tennessee, namely the Great Smoky Mountains, I think, and we bought this one, we paid $35 plus $10 shipping for this book. And I told Katie about it. She said, well, that will be a good birthday present for you. I said, okay. And now I think you can get it because it literally just came out. Now they are, you can get it at fly shops and get free shipping, but this is Ian and Charity Rudder. This is R Fly Fishing, I think. Yeah, R&R Fly Fishing. Their new fishing guide to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And it comes with, since we pre-ordered it, a signed print of a Trout. And I'm not going to try to get into it right now, but it looks like it's got all the little creeks and everything in the park, the different hatches, all the fun stuff about it. I'm going to let Katie take a look at it while I start this one, but I have a feeling, give me a little bit of time to go through it, but this is going to be one that if you're fishing in East Tennessee that you would like to have, because it should have like woodalls coming off, and right now it'll have fishing the seasons right there. So you could, if you're traveling up here, you'd be able to look and see what is what you should be tying, honey. And that has that print on it as well. Okay, so we'll do this a little bit quicker. Yep. Are you talking about a Econo Lefty? We'll do this one a little quicker, but we'll switch it over to the hook vise. And I'm going to do one thing a little bit different on it. So we've got our, what's it called? Our thread there. Pull that off, bring it to the front. Now I've got, just for the fun of it, 2 wood duck feathers that aren't quite thick enough for one wing. So you see this one, how like it comes off pretty quick on this side. So it's like, oh, I can't use those. Got to pull those off and pull this off. So let's pull this out. See, it's still kind of, this side's just not, it's not very even, but that's looking better. So we're going to put both of these together and make one. Hopefully the barring, they are off the same bird, so it should be okay. So I'm going to do the same thing, bundle them up. See, I've got my tips lined up. Yep. Like so. Do the same thing. Pick that little notch that I'm going to aim for. There. Pull this up on the top of the hook shank. See, it's a little bit thicker, but it is 2 fibers. Everything up here is 2 weeks ahead because of last week's 70s. Ugh. Tired of you live tonight. You're like, oh, Josh, sweet. Actually, Katie might be able to find that email and show the picture that you did, or like do it live. She's like, what's this?
Right.
She's like, if I want to, look at this book you told me to look at first.
Is there something that you want me to find in it, or are you just being like, whatever? Okay, I'll look at it around sometime.
Okay. So you see, I got my thread back to the back. We've got our little taper made. Open spiral rasp, but fill in any gaps. Pull this up. We'll post, or we'll prop this up with our little thread jam. Still not quite good. There we go. It should be fine. So we're gonna split them. This is one I can't figure out how to do this with. Those look too short, so I'll pop those off. And that one probably is okay, but I'll get rid of it anyway. So I'm just trying to pull those apart. 1, 2, back to front. Pull it back around. 1, 2. See, I've got them separated. I'm going to take it, unspool my thread. Got 2 wraps up, 1 wrap down. I'm pulling on it to straighten it up a little bit. 2 wraps up, 1 wrap down. Make sure it's the correct angle that I'm looking for. That's pretty good. Not quite. Needs to come back. And if you just need to like readjust it, just do like a little cross wrap and angle it. You can move it around lots of different ways. Okay. Hook number ideal. This is the A-Rush Freshwater 500 size 12. Before we were using an old school Mustad 94 840 size 12. Yep. If you're not first, you're last.
Ricky Bobby.
Josh, you're correct. Correct, Omundo. I think I'm going to switch over because this is what I grabbed to the CDL. So I've got, I don't know how many, but we're going to do the same thing. So I've got the stem here. My butts are lined up, so my tip should be, it looks like about 8. My tips lined up. Let's make a measurement here. Set it right in the middle. Do a pinch wrap. Looks about right. See how this kind of flared a little bit more than the other ones?
Oh, I got his picture of his. Can show that in a little bit.
That'd be fun. Cut that off. Now we're going to go back to the dubbing. Unfortunately, if I was Mr. Collins, I'd have a whole batch of this dubbing mixed up and be really simple, but I don't. And because I'm not tying like 30 dozen of these, just the one. So I've got my little bit of dubbing here. I need a little more. And I'm going to quickly, this is just cream and tan K-pop dubbing that I am carding together and mixing. Because I want that tight. And the reason, and I said this earlier, but those of y'all who didn't hear it, the Marsh Browns, when you look at them, they look pretty dark. But the belly of them is much lighter than the top. So we're trying to match the colors that the trout sees, which is why we're shooting for a light color. You wouldn't think brown would be like, it should be like March light tan, but really it's March brown. How upright do you like the wings? I like them about a roughly 60 degrees. And that's about a 90-degree angle right there. And I think that might be a touch more than I like, but somewhere between 60 and 90 degrees. If I was being really specific about it, Craig. So earlier when I had these done, they were more laid out, more almost like spinner wings. So I propped them up and put a little wrap there to hopefully keep it under control. So I'm gonna leave what I've got here, my finger. I'm gonna leave that there in case I need to add more, but I'm feeling I'm gonna be taking some off. So we'll go back here. Same thing. I'm gonna put a wrap in. Set that down right here. Let's switch over to the hook. I'll try to tame this. Did not tame very well. Get this out of the way. We'll spin this. And all this is doing right now, I'm just spinning the my bobbin, and you can see how that dubbing is twisting. So it's just adding a little bit of cordage, 10 and 2 hands on the wheel. I missed the part before that. I maybe having the dubbing in my hand and doing this. I'm trying to figure out how to get this tail not so splayed. All right, so here we go. Sticking the tongue out, Steve. Works every time. There we go. All right, so we got our body made. Now we're going to do, let's say you don't have the right one, because wet them there, put them in water, fish them. There you go. There you go. See, now they look perfect. They're ready for it. Good idea, Steve. So you guys think that I'm, I learned as much from you guys as anything. So this is kind of interesting. A lot of people talk about hackle colors. So I think that's gorgeous, the brown and the grizzly, but it's kind of a pain. Um, so I've got this nice grizzly variant here that all it is a grizzly variant. It's like a I think this might be a dun Cree. I don't know. It's just a. Do you want to switch over to the side?
Yeah, sure.
It's just a grizzly variant. But if you don't want to do the two hackles, um, let's find the right size real quick. We'll do one hackle. That one looks a touch small, but we'll see. Oh, if it's small, it's just a little bit. But let's try to get it right. See, this is going to take a second, but it won't take as long as trying to find two that totally match. That's we'll call that one good. All right. So once again, I'm going to look at the stem, and it's a little more obvious on this one. So you see how it's thicker here. When it gets thin, that's where I want to cut it off. So cut it about there. And what Steve was talking about, grizzly dyed brown. He goes silent when he's focusing on something. I don't go silent very often, Gary. That's for sure, because I rarely focus on much. All right, so we pulled this much off. What Steve's saying to do is you can trim that and leave the barbules, like just the very edge of the barbules there. It gives us a little more texture to gives the thread a little more something to bite into. That's just you absolutely can do that. That is a recommended technique, especially if you got problems having your hackle pull out. I've never really had that problem, and I heard that after I've been wrapping hackle for a while. I was like, well, why jinx it now? Okay, so I'm gonna tie this in the exact same way. Let's switch back over to the bottom. There we go. So I'm holding this here, and you got the shiny side here. You got the dull side here. Dull, shiny. To keep it easy, watch this. This will be fancy. I'm gonna lay it flat just to show it doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but because it absolutely does. Lay it flat, tied in, right on top. Totally different than how I did a second ago. Pull this back. If I can catch that. Oh, come on, catch. Oh, I need a little bit more. Shoot. Oh, that would have wrapped fine too. So I'm gonna pull off just a couple more. Just make it a little bit longer. So we're doing shiny side up, just to make it different. Oh, but see how it spun. Now pull this back. Now I should be able to catch that just fine. It'll wrap around like that and be too long. How you tie it in is somewhat personal preference, but you want to make sure when you're wrapping that you're wrapping with the shiny side forward. That's the general agreed thing. Now, one thing that's kind of cool, I'll tell you a trick I learned from Matt Grover after I finished wrapping this one. So this is just one feather. So roughly I'm looking for 3 in the back, 2 in the front. So we'll go, excuse me. Okay, so that's like half of one. See how the if you look like this, there's no hackle on the one side. So really, that's 1, 2, and 3. Get that back over here. 3. Now take your finger and just pull everything back. Go. 1, 2. Now this one I'm going to bring all the way up. I'm going to undo my thread until I hit that hackle. 2 and 3. Thank you, Costa Norte Distribuciones. Sorry, that's I guess my East Tennessee version, but thank you.
Gary wants to know if I was extra nice to you today.
The day's not over, honey. Yes, Katie has been absolutely a doll, just like she always is. She is a doll. She's been wonderful.
I try. I sang to you last night.
Sure did. All right, so I had my tongue totally sticking out on that one. Now you can see it's got a little pulling to do. Pull everything up somewhat the way it needs to go. All right, so we've got our one feather. Now you can see the difference. See it from the front versus the color. See difference in the color. So there is quite a bit of difference, but not like if you're trying to fish them, not like a end of the world difference. Did you get him cupcakes? The extended iron's better on this one. The extended iron.
He's on a diet, so no.
What's the extended iron, John? We're talking about the hook being a touch longer. Yep, I think that's probably what we're talking about. But you can see the color difference is the main thing I wanted to show. So if you don't have if you've got a saddle, a grizzly saddle and grizzly, 2 saddles, one's grizzly, one's brown, but they're not the right sizes. Don't overthink it. Just if you got 2 hackles, you can do that. If you got 1 hackle, you can do this. And that turned out fine. I'll probably fish this one. Because no one wants the single one that I tied. Which feather you're tying in front or back? Yep, that's very true. And I don't know if there is a correct. You need to tie this in front or this in back. Probably there is a preferred answer to that, but I don't know what it is. So I'm going to throw some glue like that. If I get to catch it before it sinks, but all around. That was good. If you got a little too much on there, that's great because that'll just soak down into the hackle stem. If you get some in your eye, then clean it out. But this is just, this is whiting CDL for the tail. This is not spade hackle like you're really supposed to use. This is kapok for the body. This is 1 hackle for the I can't see that 1 fiber. It's sticking somewhere. 1 hackle for the body, and then of course you got your wings. So not a bad looking fly. It's got a good silhouette to it. I think it will fish. Jeff, me and Gary will bring you to Colorado to adventure. Yes, I don't know if you're telling me that, Tyler, but that would be phenomenal. Dark bar ginger would be great, John. Yeah, this has got a dark bar ginger kind of look, feel to it, but it's not quite. So get creative. Use the feather you've got. If you don't have wood duck, use mallard. If you don't have mallard, use EP or use poly yarn. Use whatever for the wings. Tail and dubbing. the important thing is that you tie one, and then the most important thing is you throw it in your box and fish it. Those are the two important things: tie it and fish it. So, guys, thank you so much again for watching and hanging out with us as we tied a couple March Browns. I think we're just a shade over time.
That's
Um,
okay.
but it's been a blast hanging out with you on my birthday, and I it's only about 22 hours for us to drive out to you, Tyler, where I would come out this weekend to fish. Um, but anyway, thanks, Gary. Awesome seeing you back on here. And thanks to everyone. Like Freddie just reminded me, if you're not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. For all of you that are members, and if you're trying to figure out how to be a member and you can't find the join button, you're probably on an iPhone. Go to the desktop site, and that will allow you to click the join button and become a member. But thank you to everyone who subscribed, members. Hit that like button, or as Freddie says, pound it. I will turn it over to Katie to say goodbye. We'll see y'all next Wednesday night. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody. Stay healthy, stay happy. Have a great weekend. Bye.